Hello everybody and welcome to another book review video, and I'm actually in the shared office space that I use up in Warrington, Ontario here, and so I'm kind of pleased that I've managed to figure out the sound system here so that it actually sounds good. So today I am reviewing a book that I was sent a couple of months ago. I originally came across it because of Christopher Hughes, whose new book, The Book of Druidry, is out through Llewellyn, and Chris did a little video showing some of the books that was coming out back in just before the summertime, and one of them was Path of the Moonlit Hedge by Nathan M. Hall. And so I asked my publicist at Llewellyn to send me a copy because I was curious about it. And here we are. And I actually was able to sit down with Nathan a couple of days ago and record an interview that will be coming out on Tuesday about the book, about his practice, about his path, and about his relationship to animism. Because this book is all about animism, discovering the magic of animistic witchcraft. Now, I don't think that it comes as any shock to most people who probably are looking at this video that animism has become a big part of traditional folkloric witchcraft in the past few years, right? I've certainly become aware of it and have really integrated it into my own practice, but I feel like it's now become a big trend. And it makes sense because it fits with traditional cultures, and it fits with worldview that I think many witchcraft practitioners aspire to and to practice within. So to see a book particularly on this is not only fascinating, but it's also I think a good addition to the corpus. There's certainly some other books. There's quite a few other books on animism out there. Many of them tend to, at least the ones I've seen, tend to be connected with like neo-shamanism and kind of core shamanism. The Michael Harner book, for example. And then, of course, animism within kind of more of an academic and anthropological approach and view. So when I got my hands on this, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know Nathan beforehand, and I've only really gotten to know him in the past, over the past few months, and so I really wasn't sure what to expect. When I received it, there were a couple of things that really, first of all, impressed me about this book. Like most Llewellyn books, it has a lot of exercises. What I appreciate about this book is that there's a good mix between kind of experiential exercises that cater to worldview and bridging a connection, and also then things that you can do as part of witchcraft, right? But what also impressed me was, I'm just opening it up here, taking you to, it's only a small book too, it's only about 200 pages, but there's a lot within it that you can work with. This book, I think, is a wonderful introductory text to animism. You can really bridge off of and build off of what's in this book. So he talks about the kind of worldview of hedge walking. Hedge, of course, when my thing doesn't fall down. Hedge, of course, is a very long-standing symbol of liminality, and that liminality is really the essence of animism. So he talks about the worldview. He talks about what kind of a witchcraft worldview can look like from an animistic perspective. So that's really the first chapter. So he lays the foundation stone for that. And then he starts getting into, I'm just plugging my computer in here. There we go. Sorry. He then starts to talk about kind of the healing journey, the fundamentals, so really the fundamentals of magic, and then, of course, that connection then between kind of worldview and magic. And then gets into all of the experiential pieces. What I like about this book is that it builds off of itself. That's an approach I certainly took with my own book, and I thought that is a good. For me, that's a good approach, because as you're working through it, you're invited to go back and review, and I think that's a very effective way of learning. he talks about kind of the first contact with the land, and in our conversation that we had on Tuesday, or that's coming out on Tuesday, he talks about his own relationship with introducing himself to the land of Florida. He's originally from, I believe, Illinois or Ohio, somewhere like that, and he talks about what it was like to connect with and become aware of landscape and spirit, of place, and of course then those other spirits that exist. We talk about the various circles of spirit hood, which I thought was a really good conversation. He talks about meeting your spirit guides, allies, and other beings in the landscape, how to relate to them. He talks about the concept of time. He talks about the kind of the idea, the image of the garden, or the landscape as being kind of a smaller vision of the whole cosmology. And I think that's a really important part of working with magic, is to see the local as being an expansion of the expanded. And he then talks and ends the book on the idea of community and the idea of celebration. So really, anybody who's coming from a witchcraft point of view or a witchcraft background, anyone who's coming from a Wiccan background, like a 101 Wiccan a book background, not traditional Wicca, but more popular Wicca, I think we'll get a lot from this book. The foreword is by Christopher Penczak, and Nathan is actually an initiate of the Temple of Witchcraft, and also Anderson Fairy tradition, and they tend to be, there's a lot of cross-pollination between those two traditions right now. So I think that's really important. Nathan has been around in the community for many, many years. I didn't know him mainly because he's really connected with the US community, but he's contributed as an advisor to the Wild Hunt. He is on the board of directors for the annual Mystic South Conference, which is becoming, it's not becoming, it is a bigger conference, but in the kind of throes of Pantheacon being ended, Mystic South seems to become the big one in the South there, and so that's really important and cool. He's lectured at media conferences and sat on a variety of panels. His background is actually in journalism, so we had an interesting discussion around that piece. All in all, I was really impressed with the book. I think that there wasn't anything in this book that was new to me, and I think that was okay though, because some of quite a few of the exercises with this were really decent, really grounded exercises, and I loved some of the symbols that he used in this. That really got me to think about my own relationship with landscape, with spirits. All in all, really, really beautiful little book. I say little, I mean it's about the same size as my own book. It's only like 250 pages. But there's a lot of pieces in this. I think that anybody of any background can pick this up and really gain a lot. I think that there's a lot in it. There's some personal pieces from Nathan, but there's a lot of pieces that people can pick up on and relate to in this book, and so I really appreciated that. It is available now. It came out earlier in the year. You can pick this up wherever books are sold, and you can also order it from Llewellyn directly. I've been Ben Stimson. This has been another book review, and thank you for joining me. And also, join us on Tuesday. If you're watching this on the weekend that I posted this, watch this on Tuesday, our conversation that I'll be having with Nathan. And if you're watching this afterwards, go to my podcast, Essence Podcast Into the Woods, and he's the second episode. And you can explore a lot more about the context of this book, get a sense of who he is better, and go and pick yourself up a copy. Have a good rest of the weekend, folks.